Termites! It's night 15. What are we all doing out there? Did you watch The Undoing with Nicole Kidman? I took a break from Hallmark movies to watch that. It was excellent. A lot of people thought the ending was ridiculous. I thought it was great. It's kind of like a giant Law and Order. But there's like 6 episodes, I think. And it's highly addictive. So I would suggest that. I love Law and Order. Lewis has been on some. In the past, his friend Mark Lynn Baker, who's a friend of mine too, he's been on some Law and Orders. Yeah, so sometimes you might see, Lou plays like a Howard Stern type guy, kind of, in his really good episode. He's had a lot, but that was my favorite. What else? Everybody's out of Christmas trees, so I hope you termites got yours, because it's slim pickings out there. The guy at my lot said they sold 707 trees, and most of them, not most of the trees, but a lot were the weekend before Thanksgiving, which is rare, and then he was out of trees, and there's no more trees coming, which, that's sad. That's not like a Hallmark movie. Somebody's supposed to figure out a second tree shipment for the tree lot guy. That's how it works. Maybe a lady who's a widowy, what is the word? I don't know. Widow? Who has a child that needs a dad. That's how those work. Listen to my pubcast, and we'll talk about that. And what am we drinking? We're drinking a little Lowcountry Lager that has an alligator on the front of the can, which is the main reason I was suckered into buying it. And my glass, it's the Circle 7 Ranch, St. Louis, Missouri. I went there to see what that was all about, and it's got the Anheuser-Busch thing right here on the glass, the little eagle with the A. Okay, here we go. We're chapter 11 already. Dude had single-handedly promoted my first record. He brought me to Nashville, got me on Ernest Tubbs' Midnight Jamboree and on the Opry. Now I needed veteran management, and we both knew it. That was a great thing about Dew. There are some singers' husbands who think they know everything about the business and end up making some bad decisions on behalf of their wives. But Dew understood there was too much he didn't know. Well, good for Dew, knowing what you don't know. That takes a strong man to just say, I don't know. Plus, the last thing in the world Loretta Lynn wanted to do was have to put on a tie and show up at a business meeting. Because I think we've already learned Loretta Lynn doesn't really know how to act right. He's kicked in a lot of doors, thrown shit, not highly professional. We signed with the Wilburn brothers, who managed their own careers, published songs, and booked a few other acts for personal appearances. There was 4 of the brothers, Teddy, Doyle, Leslie, and Lester. They built quite a management company, as well as Surefire Music and Willem Talent with Doug Wilhelms, who had played steel for Hank Williams. She means as a steel guitar. It wasn't easy to get them to sign me because when I first played a tape recording for them, Teddy thought I sounded too much like Kitty Wells. But Doyle, Teddy's brother, said he thought he could hear something special in me. Now here's where it got sticky and where Dew and me should have checked with other managers about contracts. I signed a lifetime song publishing management and booking contract with the Wilburns. This came back around to bite me later. That is right. Don't ever sign a contract forever. The trick word is in perpetuity. That means forever in all universes known and unknown, which I think is horseshit that you can put that in a contract and just say, this applies to everything that, we don't even know about yet. Bullshit. But they do it. I signed one. I won't get into it, but a long, long time ago. It's just people taking advantage of people. Don't ever sign lifetime. Doyle played one of my songs for Owen Bradley, who was in charge of Decca Records, and he said, I already got Kitty Wells. But when he heard Fool Number 1, he wanted to cut it on Brenda Lee. Doyle agreed to let him have the song for Brenda if he'd sign me too. Owen said later, his best trade he ever made. Still, Owen waited till I got enough songs he believed set me apart from Kitty before we started making our records together. I stayed on Decca, which later folded into MCA, for the better part of my next 30 years. When I look back on my early sessions, one of the things that sticks out is that Owen would flat out leave the building when I decided to pop a song on an album. I did on most of them too. Put a pop song on an album. I did on most of them too. I always loved country music, But in Washington State, you didn't hear much of it. You heard pop singers like Perry Como or Rosemary Clooney. Once you heard Rosemary Clooney, who is who? The aunt of George Clooney. Some people don't know that. I barely know who Rosemary Clooney is, but I know that's a fact. Or you heard rock singers like Elvis Presley or Conway Twitty. I don't know that I'd consider Conway Twitty a rock singer, but all right. I love both those boys. I even got, there used to be a Conway Twitty City. Did you know about that? Yes, there was. It was like an amusement park deal thing, I think. I love both them boys. I even had a big old Conway Twitty poster hanging in our bedroom. Why dude didn't jerk it off the wall is more than I'll ever know. But even though I was raised on Jimmy Rogers and Ernest Tubb, I started loving pop songs in Washington, even though I thought most of them wasn't right for me. When I started recording, I always wanted to try at least one on each album. Funny part of it is that Owen Bradley is sometimes criticized for the Nashville sound, the smoothing out of country. But I think he just tried to make records that was right for the individual. But in my case, and in Kitty Wells' cases, he sure wasn't trying to make no pop-sounding records. Above and beyond that, people have to understand that country music is always changing and going in one direction or another. And we ain't never going to go back to the farm for good. Well, I think if somebody would, they'd end up making money. If somebody was truly country, old school, but you got to live that life too, and I don't know how many people are willing to do that. At first, dude was just jealous of Teddy and later of Doyle. Part of his jealousy had to do with my career. Dude had been the one who launched me in the business, and now it was Teddy and Doyle in charge. Dude didn't want to be my manager, but he sure hated giving up the control. I could see that was coming. that was definitely going to be, oh, he ain't the manager till he is. That's how that goes. And then somebody's got to get gone. Mainly, though, dude was worried about me being on the road with men. He started drinking and getting worked up, and imagined me running around with the other singers and musicians and roadies and the bus driver. But I wasn't cheating on him, and it made me mad when he accused me of it. There'd come a time when I thought it was almost funny, but not back in the beginning. I missed do a lot on them tours. That was the man I was thinking about, not some guitar picker. I remember once when the Wilburns and I had been on a month-long tour. We'd probably done about 28 shows in 30 days while driving up 500 miles a day between shows. All I wanted to do was get home to my husband and my kids. Last show on the tour was in Knoxville, Tennessee. I called Dew and asked him to come to the show, which isn't that far, 2.5 hours. He told me he didn't have no interest in coming. It hurt my feelings, but that was nothing new. Well, you know what, Dew? You could have gone to Knoxville. What I didn't know was that Dew saw the Knoxville show as a chance to catch me cheating on him. Oh, Dew's going anyway. He's going to lay a little, he's going to be lying in wait. Well, how about that? Isn't he tricky? But as I said, I didn't cheat. He didn't think our old car would make it through them mountains, so he drove to Nashville from our house in Goodlettsville, and wouldn't you know it, he rented a Jaguar. Or as they say in the commercials now, a Jaguar. A Jaguar. But they don't ever say that about the animal on the Discovery Channel. If you'll look over there to the right, you'll see a Jaguar. At least in the Midwest, it's a Jaguar. Jaguar. Jaguar? Jaguar. 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 J-A-G-W-A-R. That's how I pronounce it. Then he drove to Knoxville and called the hotel where me, the Wilburns, and the others in the show was staying. I'm Doolittle Lynn, he told the operator. Loretta Lynn is my wife, and I'm coming to your hotel so I can surprise her. Have her room key ready for me when I get there. I'm sorry, Mr. Lynn, the fellow said. The rooms are under the Wilburn brothers' names, and they said that Loretta's room number is to be given to no one. Well, good for the Wilburn brothers learning that shit. I'm almost there, Dew told the operator. When I get there, you better have that key ready for me or I'll jerk the whole damn switchboard off the wall. And he would have. After the show that night, I went to Teddy and Doyle's room along with my brother, J. Lee Webb, who played lead guitar during my part of the program with Don Helms. We spent time inside the room trying to write a new song for Webb Pierce. We never did get it completed, and when we finished trying about 1 o'clock in the morning, the men thought they should walk me to a room and make sure I was safe. I opened the door, looked around, and saw that nobody had broke in during the show. Thank God they didn't come inside my room. It's fine, boys, I said. I'll be all right. Y'all go back to your rooms. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, Loretta, my brother yelled back. I walked into the bathroom and sat on the toilet. Okay. It was only then that I noticed a slight movement of the shower curtain and thought there must be some crazy killer hiding in there. I was almost right. Suddenly, dude jumped out of the shower with a bottle of whiskey in one hand and a loaded pistol in another. He was so convinced that he'd catch me with another man, he was shaking with anger. He was ready to kill me and whoever I was with. It took some talking, but I calmed him down by reminding him that it was my brother's voice he'd heard calling back in the room. Finally, he stumbled off to bed where he passed out. But I believe with all my heart that if Teddy, Doyle, or Don Hems had stepped inside my room that night to make sure the room was empty, dude would have jumped out and opened fire. Well, that would have been a whole different movie now, wouldn't it have? That'd be called Murder in the Toilet. Turlet. I never understood Jude's jealousy over the Wilburns, because they were the ones who taught me how to handle men. He must have known they were looking out for me, not trying to romance me. Teddy and Doyle were always telling me I was too friendly, that men was misunderstanding my attitude and was going to try to date me. Ain't nobody going to try and date me, I told the Wilburns. I'm married with 4 kids and everybody knows it. The Wilburns finally went to and told him to tell me to stop being so friendly. He told me they were right. Men were going to try and date me if I didn't tone down my personality. So I did because dude told me. He never mentioned it again, and neither did I. But I learned that some men can be pretty pushy when it comes to chasing skirts. Not long after that, in the middle 60s, I played a Longhorn Ballroom in Dallas, Texas. It was a private party for a bunch of doctors. That's the worst. You know, we all get offered corporate gigs. Most of us who are whores take them because the money is great. And maybe half of them go well. But they're not really as fun as a normal show, let's put it. They can be, but you're rolling the dice. I thought it was dumb of him. The owner came privately and said that he'd appreciate it if I was nice to the doctors. I thought it was dumb of him to think he had to ask. What do you think? I was going to be rude? I thought he wanted me to walk amongst them while I was singing or visit with them between shows. They sat near the stage, so I would walk down to sing the first one and then another. It wasn't long before one pinched me right on the butt. What? I didn't even stop to think. I just knocked the dickens out of him. Wow, she beat somebody up at a corporate gig. Good for you. As Rocky Laporte would say, my comedian friend, good for you. He ran to the promoter and said I wasn't doing my job, and the promoter started yelling at me, you're breaking your contract, and I'm not going to pay you. No man here is going to pinch me on the butt. I said, that ain't in my contract, and I got my money too. Good for her. I don't think the Wilburn brothers was ever any more protective of me than they were one night when we played a show with the world famous gospel group. It was a quartet who performed in church houses as well as the nation's biggest concert halls. During the 40s through the 70s, Southern gospel quartet music was even featured at what they called all-night sings. Perhaps a dozen quartets would sing from dark until daylight. The fans came by the thousands. This particular group was a headlining attraction at many of them all-night affairs. I had no idea that gospel quartets sang about their love for Jesus and Christian ways, but actually lived an entirely different lifestyle. Well, do tell. The leader of the gospel group told me he wanted to show me his new bus. Well, that's an obvious line. You want to come see my new bus? So I got on board with him, just me and him. We walked all the way back to the bedroom where he slept. On the floor, I noticed a case of whiskey. Why have you got this? I asked. You gospel singers don't drink, do you? Oh, I don't, he said with a shrug, but some of them other boys do. He had just closed the bedroom door, when all of a sudden I heard the thundering voice of Doyle Wilburn. Loretta, where the hell are you? Oh, Doyle, we're in the bedroom. Come see this. You get your damned ass off that bus right now, Doyle said. Why? I wanted to know. I was embarrassed because Doyle was being so rude, but he wouldn't shut up. So I got off the bus and I asked him, and the gospel singer had words. And then Doyle had to explain to me that the singer was not only a big drinker, he was always hitting on the women singers, or any of the other women he could find, as a matter of fact. The Wilburns did so much for me. Teddy helped me learn how to put on makeup. The brothers helped me with my stage show. They were the first ones who taught me to walk in high heels. I've never worn anything but work shoes or cowboy boots in my life. One of the funniest things that ever happened during my stage show was the first time I had to wear high heels. We were doing a show in Salt Lake City, and the MC was a fellow named Bashful Bobby. He started walking up the stairs to the stage. I noticed his fly was open. Bobby, I whispered, your pants is unzipped. I didn't realize that the mic in his hand was on and the whole audience could hear me. Damn it, Loretta, Doyle Wilburn said when Bobby finally got on the stage. Why don't you just walk out and announce it? Well, I think I done him a favor, I shot back. His shirt was sticking right out through his fly. What do you think them folks would have thought that was? He squabbled like a big brother, and we squabbled like big brother and sister until it was my turn to go on stage. I soon learned I should have practiced a few days by myself before trying to do a show in them high heels. Bashful Bobby introduced me. Ladies and gentlemen, Decca recording artist, Miss Loretta Lynn. The spotlight hit my face, and like Bobby Bashful had before me, I started up the stairs onto the stage. One of my heels got caught, and I couldn't free myself. I was stuck right there. I tried, and Bobby announced me again. From the audience, you can hear his loud voice. This is going to be a hell of a show. Bobby's pants is unzipped, and he's coming out of the fly, and Loretta's too drunk to get on stage. I jerked that heel free and ran out. I did 2 or 3 songs wobbling around on that old heel and finally stopped the music. Friends, I said, I ain't drunk, but Teddy Williams wanted me to wear these high heels, and I ain't never had a pair of them on in my life. I got to go get my boots because he's got them locked up in the trunk of his car. So I kicked off the shoes and performed for all the Mormons in Salt Lake barefooted. They seemed to like it. So I started doing it at a lot of my shows. That's just get right back to your hillbilly roots. Just run around barefoot. Who cares? Except for them tiny nails on them stages. There ain't nothing to worry about. Back when I first started out, if I wasn't touring by myself on Greyhound buses, I rode with other artists in cars as part of a package show. I worked many a night with 4 singers and a driver inside a car pulling a trailer filled with musical instruments and an upright bass fiddle on the roof. Many times I rode in a car with my brother Jay Lee, who came along to play the guitar. We'd bounce along 2-way highways and try to sleep sitting up. Sometimes if I worked a show with an artist who had a bus and he was going to play the same town where I was going to be, he'd let me ride on his bus. I've slept in a lot of buses, and I like them. I like the bunk part. I don't even need the big room. It's like you just shut your little curtain and the world's gone. It got gone. The world is gone. I slept in a bunk, 1 of 3 stacked from the floor to the ceiling. Exactly. That's how they still are. When I traveled with Ernest Tubb, Cal Smith always gave up his bunk for me. Cal would ride in the car with Jay Lee and help with the driving. Even though his own room was at the back of the bus, Ernest would sleep in the bunk across from me. Well, isn't that nice? He was so protective of me that he could raise Cain if anybody even cussed around me. Cal could let fly with a word once in a while, and Ernest would say, Schaffner, that was Cal's real last name, lighten up your language around this little girl. Well, I'm sure Dew was letting him loose all day. Dew didn't much like going on the road once I got started, but I remember this one trip in 1963 when he drove me on a short Texas tour for a man who later became one of our good friends in Nashville. Billy Deaton later moved to Nashville and managed Farron Young, but when I first knew him, he was working out of Texas. A talent broker is a person who buys an artist from a booking agent, then sells the artist to a promoter for a profit. In this case, Billy paid the Wilburn brothers $300 for me to sing 3 sets. He told me he sold my services to a promoter for $350. He booked a 5-day tour on me and made $50 a day. It's funny that I remember those amounts, but not how much the Wilburns paid me. This wasn't a package show, and in 1963, females were still considered girl singers who couldn't headline. But Billy was a singer and as well as a talent broker, so he had a regional reputation and could get me the jobs. So you see, even with 3 national hits, Honky Tonk Woman, Success, and the Other Woman, I was to open the show for Billy. This 5-day tour is one of them few early tours where Dew went with me. Billy said we'd arrive in an old car, but he can't remember what kind. Neither can I. One of Billy's shows was at a dance hall in Fredericksburg, Texas. I'd never even heard of Fredericksburg, but then I hadn't heard of none of the towns Billy put me in. People was asked to pay $3 to see me, and all of them was working folks. Many had earned their money doing backbreaking cotton picking. $3 was a lot of money for them folks, and the hall wasn't close to be sold out. But soon it would be. There were enormous cracks in the wall of this dance hall. I started singing with Billy's band, and my voice leaked through the crack walls into the street. Soon folks was peeping through the cracks and looking through the windows. The sidewalk got crowded. Real soon with onlookers. There wasn't no room for nobody to stand. Directly, They began to come through the door, and they paid their $3. The place sold out. It held about 300 people. Well, holy shit, that's a lot of money back then. Dude sold 8x10 glossy pictures on me for $1. I think it was just a shot of me with my face leaning on top of a guitar. Billy said them and Dude laughed at the show because me and Dude made more money off the pictures than I was paid to sing. Merch, baby, merch. That's right, you got to do merchandise. I hate doing merchandise. You really have to be into it. Like, Carrot Top loves merchandise. He likes t-shirts. He likes multicolored things. But he enjoys it. I find it all to be just problematic. But if you're into it, if that's your thing, you know, Ron's got some funny merch. You can't fix stupid. And I had the right, but I did not have the ability is a good shirt. But all in all, I never thought about selling headshots. Would anyone like an 8x10? I have a lot of old ones. I should start selling those. I never know what to do with them. Just boxes of that shit. Billy said him and Dude laughed, blah, 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 blah. But that didn't matter. Billy and Dude drank up all the profit. Today, when I look across the crowd, I sometimes think of those Texas people who made me prove myself and look through the cracks before they bought a ticket. Today, promoters charge too much for shows. I did a show recently, and later found out they was charging $90 a ticket. I've never charged that much. If I'd have known that, I'd have told folks to line up and I'd have given some money back. Ain't no show worth $90. That's how I feel about some of the shit you see going on. When you see $350 for some band or whatever. I mean, I try to keep my tickets between $30 and $50. I think that's reasonable. And I could do whatever I wanted. It's not really, that's up to me, mostly. Sometimes it's not. But some of this shit, and then you go online and they're sold out, and then it gets even crazier. It's like, it's just one thing. But that one show where folks listened through the cracks in the wall for free and finally paid their $3 will always be a memory. It's just one of the thousands that I wouldn't take $1 million for. But part of the memory is Billy Deaton, who is now such bad health it just breaks my heart. After Billy moved to Nashville, he started booking a lot of Opry acts. After some of the biggest talents in the agency wasn't talking to some of the oldest artists, Billy was still trying to find them work. I still love Billy to death, and I hope Nashville doesn't forget folks like him. Well, I'll have to look him up and see if he's still alive. This book's kind of old. I don't know. I never heard of the man. So that's it, termites. What else have I got for you? Not much. Very boring. I don't really have a lot. All the little ornaments are up. I was going to show you some good ones. But then, I got this one out. This was the Pebble Beach one. Me and Lewis golfed there. I think for something, there's a reason. We waited our whole lives. Might have been my birthday. I wouldn't do it again. It's really expensive, and the hour took about 6 rounds. Seriously. Maybe longer. I just thought it was bullshit. When you pay whatever it is, $400 or $500, which is outrageous, I understand that, to play golf, they shouldn't have tee times every 42 seconds. And that's what I believe they had. I know we were out there long enough that Lewis, who rarely drinks when he got golf, drank a couple drinks, got kind of hammered, and re-sobered up before the end of the golf. So that's how long we were out there. But I would play the other courses up there because those aren't as crowded. But Pebble Beach, I'd rather just go walk on the beach with somebody else's dog. And but they did have a wonderful Christmas ornament. Look, it's a sand dollar that sparkles. So just go to the gift shop. Just watch it on TV. I would never. That's the one famous course. And Lewis and I try to go to one a year that's like famous, bucket list thing, or every other year. And Wisconsin, the Irish course up there, absolutely worth it. But Pebble Beach, no way. It's like Disney World. Worse. At some point, too, I looked up on a green, and I'm not kidding, there had been 8 to 12 people. And the guy told me, well, a lot of the tourists from Japan like to bring a photographer. I go, so they all have their own photographer, 4 golfers, 4 caddies. There's fucking 12 people on a green. I don't know. Not that you would ever have the chance, but if you were in California, I'd say play Spanish Bay instead. and just go take a walk on this beach, and then people will hit golf balls at you. Little cheeseburger ornament. That's fun, right? All right, termites. Get yourself cozy. Snuggle in. The holidays are coming, so at least it'll feel a little holiday-y. And then if you guys are still working, you'll get some time off. That'll be fun, right? Yeah. I don't know how New Year's Eve is going to be any different than me normally drinking at home at night. I don't know. I'm not really, I should be more bothered by this. We're trying to reset shows, but who knows when, you know? We just keep moving and moving and moving and moving, but we're trying. So there you have it. Get comfortable, get cozy. You're a good termite. You're a worthy termite. You're a holiday termite. And that's it. Night, night, termites.